The Joe Rogan Experience.
And I've known you forever. I knew you back when you were having a real hard time with stand-up, which to me is fascinating because you're the only guy that I've ever met that was having like a really hard time with stand-up. And then out of nowhere, like you hit a switch, you went from having a hard time with stand-up to being a fucking murderer. It was almost like you fucking passed through a doorway or something. Like within 2 years of you working at the store, you just figured it out. You just figured it out one night. And we were up on stage, and we were in the back, rather, and you were up on stage. We were watching you. We were like, damn, Joey Diaz just turned a fucking corner. You just figured out how to be funny. You figured out who you were up there. It's really weird when you get into anything. There's always that, Jesus, I'm not improving. Yeah. I'm coming here, I'm showing up, and this just isn't working. And then one day, out of the fucking blue, pow, it just starts working. And it's really weird with stand-up. You don't want to go to sleep. You want to go home and keep writing. Yeah. And writing. And I became infatuated from 95 to like 98, but I had so many other things going on. You know what I'm saying? I had so many fucking things going on that I couldn't really focus. And then I moved to L.A., and I had all these distractions. You have all these stupid distractions when you first move to L.A. and you're a comic. Agencies, this, that. And then one day, something hits you, and it goes, these motherfuckers don't matter. Nothing really matters. I got to go up there and speak what's in my heart. And you just start going. And little by little, once you find your voice, you become a savage. That's it. It's like a shark tasting blood. It's like anything else where you get that taste, and you just go after it. And the comedy store is the fucking comedy store, man. Once you get in the comedy store, to me, that's like, John Jock. That's the comedy store. It's John Jock Machado. It's those upper high level. That's it. It's a high level place. It's especially in the 2000s when we were down there. There was some intense comedy that was going on there. For your Duncan and Ari coming up there, and you coming up there. It was a really intense time. And you go on stage and you get this weird confidence. And it's this fucking thing, you just get stronger and stronger. Then the more people you go up in front of, because then in the beginning they make you go up in front of people. Going up in front of Mitzi Shore is nerve-wracking. And going on after, they put you on after a lot of guys that were really funny. Yeah, and you're going up in front of Mitzi Shore, you have no idea what that does to you at the 6-year mark going up. I cannot describe it. I've thought about it and I've written about that experience thousands of times. And nothing was more... Like, I blacked out. I had a blackout to go in front of Mitzi Shore because I knew it was it for a guy like me. If Mitzi Shore turned me down, you know what? I was going to go back to Boulder, probably stab one of those motherfuckers with Al. Come out. I would just been getting out now. I would have been institutionalized. There's no turning back from that. It would have crushed my ego. Her taking me gave me another 5-year reprieve in my life. I knew I got something to do for 5 more years before I go to jail for killing somebody. Like, that's how I felt. Did you really feel like you were going to do that? Because when I met you, I never got that from you. Yeah, I didn't get that from you. That's what part of the jump in my comedy was the day I wrote her the letter. And I said, you can't scam me no more. You want to take the kid, take the fucking kid. What am I going to fucking do? Wrote your wife? Is that what you're talking about? I called her up one day and told her basically. I didn't know who you're talking about. Yeah, I told her that I didn't, that at the end of the day, and I was being this, some people really can't handle the truth, and sometimes you have to tell them. And I had to talk to her and then talk to her again in 99. When I took that change, it was around 2000. You met me in 97. It took me about 3 years. But one day in 99, before I went to bed, I was clean for a couple days, maybe 3 days. And I went to bed early, and I had my wits to me, and I said, I'm not going to fuck with this no more. It was one of these things that I was going into the lion's mouth. I had to walk on a fine line with her because I wanted to be a part of that kid's life, but it wasn't looking that way. And I wasn't going to take her shit no more. One morning, I got up nice and early, and I went and got a calling card, and I called that motherfucker. And I just laid it out to her. And I told her, the opening line was, I'll never forget this, that, listen, between you and I, and she knew me. I said, if you were on fire, I would not piss on you. The only contact I'm having with you is because of this child. Right. So I'll pay for a separate phone in her room, and I don't have to talk to you no more. Right. Because what was killing me at that time was she wanted to take and change the child's name. Right. And my position was, when my father died, my mom remarried.
my poor dad that died, I had to keep his fucking name. That was just something in my heart. So I always felt that let her become 18. Let her decide what the fuck she wants to do. That was eating away. I mean, one day it had no value. A name didn't have a value to me, and this whole situation didn't have a value to me. Once I analyzed it and said, fuck this bitch and what she stands for, I turned that corner because I dropped luggage off. There's nothing. Sometimes in comedy, sometimes in life, you're just carrying around some luggage, man, that doesn't let you move.
Yeah.
The box is 5 feet, but the door is only 3. Sorry, motherfucker. And you got to drop that shit. And until you drop that fucking box, you ain't going to go through that door.
Too many people get locked into those relationships, whether friendships, former ex-wife and husband, whatever you want to call that relationship, exes. But they're like two deer with their fucking horns locked together, and they can't separate. And they fucking every day is a push-pull. They fuck with each other on purpose. You know, I've known people that went through horrible divorces where, you know, you could tell that like they would like be setting up each other, like, you know, fuck him, make him pay more, you know, let's agree to one thing and then change the terms, just keep the bills coming in. And like I've heard people talk like that.
It's a horror show.
It's crazy.
And it's
scary.
And this was the bad end of it, Joe. That this is already I had the job in Boulder that paid the most for an uneducated schmuck like me. I was working for a sports advisor. And you can make anywhere from $20,000 to $60,000 a football season in 6 months. You can make some cash.
That's insane.
There were some guys that make $100,000. I had a month in December. I made $25,000 working the fucking phones.
God,
you just got to get some fish to bet and send you money. Believe that you're going to take them through the fucking bowl season. Listen, bro, you want to make 50? It's going to cost you 20. Go to Western Union, send me 20,000. And we'll talk about sending you 50.
They're basically buying your knowledge on sports.
They're buying your knowledge, but you're buying your bullshit. It's bad karma also.
Really?
But this is what I was doing. So I knew this. All right, I come to L.A. Mitzi Shore don't pass me. Maybe the Improv passes me. But my dream was Mitzi Shore. Who the fuck are you kidding? My whole thing was the store. From day one, people told me to go to the fucking store. That's your house. That was my fate. If she turned me down, I would have probably gone back to Colorado, probably gone to work over there. You know,
but you done sets in Seattle. You were doing comedy
but I couldn't
up there.
go back to go to Seattle. I would have gone back to Colorado and tried to be a dad. And one day, dog, I know me. One fucking day, the car breaks down. There's snowing out. You get one of those bills, overdue bill, and that's it. You bump into this fucking mook, and he gives you that attitude with his flip-flops on. I was going to run over this motherfucker, and I was going to do 50 fucking years.
Yeah.
So, you know what? As much as the Comedy Store has that much power in my life.
In your life, it came along at the right time.
It came along at the right time.
Do you think that people create that? I mean, that's like the big hippie new age argument about life, is that you create these possibilities in life, that you're responsible for all these different events that are happening to you. They're not random events. These are events that are sort of created by your own intentions.
Yes.
Do you feel that sometimes?
Absolutely. One thing I learned was that until you take responsibility, you ain't going to move forward. Mm-hmm. There's motherfuckers that get off the stage, bro, the audience sucks, the sound.
Yeah. I watched a guy eat the
fucking
plates
bombed,
of
bro.
shit in Vegas.
Bro, that was hysterical.
That.
I fucking bombed.
Yeah.
And that's it. And everything else. And until you come through that, you can't really... And that was big for me, that I believe that... You know, hey, listen, I go to bed now. I go home. I put my feet up. I watch the news, and I go to bed like nothing. You know, 20 years ago, I didn't go to bed like nothing. I had to shut my window a certain way and close my door a certain way, and I couldn't leave the light on at night because I owed money to a drug deal. I robbed somebody. I created all those scenarios. I didn't make that kidnapping up. I went there with a gun. I knew what I was doing.
But it's funny that how quick the turnaround was between like 99, you know, like it all just sort of stopped. It all stopped.
Luggage,
then.
And it kept stopping. You know, it kept stopping.
Kept getting better.
So what you're telling me is that I never did blow again after 2006. That's what you're trying to tell me.
Who?
Me. That's what you're trying to tell me.
Why would I say that?
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
What do you think? I'm crazy? That's the weirdest way to phrase that sentence
I'm
ever.
just saying that.
So you're telling me I haven't done blow since 2006.
So one day I went home.
This?
So one day I went
you're
home.
Like arguing with a chick.
So one day I went home and just stopped doing blow. That's what you're trying to tell me. Never did it again. Never went
That's
to
not what
rehab.
I'm saying. I'm saying about being a criminal.
No. I'm busting your balls. I can't believe what I'm fucking telling you. That's 2006. One day I went home. Brian, one day I went home and just stopped doing cocaine. No rehab, no hug. I didn't call nobody. I didn't pierce my ear. I didn't give my life to Allah. There was no Obergain. There was none of that shit. Okay? Whatever the fuck that shit is.
You never get it right.
There was nothing. Whatever the fuck, Ubergain, whatever the fuck the shit is. So my point is that what happened was I kept dropping the pain that I had. And that luggage that I had, I forced it out. I just didn't fucking stop doing drugs. I overcame whatever was making me do those fucking drugs. Society wasn't making me do drugs. Obamacare, how funny is it they found heroin in the Bronx with Obamacare envelope
Boston.
on it? Boston, I'm sorry. Boston, hysterical.
It said Obamacare on it. It was on heroin. Obamacare. Like people would just let that through.
Everything. We created everything.
In a lot of ways. And there's random things that happen as well, right?
There's sometimes people wake up on the wrong side of fucking bed and they come at you and you gotta stand your fucking ground and you gotta say no, bitch. And people get their feelings hurt.
Yes.
But no, I created a lot of the shit that happened in my life. There's no fucking way.
You also have to stop silliness or it'll invade your life and ruin your quality of life. Like if you don't get upset at people sometimes, there's times where people are infringing on your happiness with their bullshit.
With their bullshit. No.
And you're like, listen, man, you need to learn for your own good. You need to learn that what you're doing is like socially unacceptable. You're passing it off on other people. You're passing off this shitty reality that you're trying to promote. You can get locked in a person like that, as we were saying before, with like bad relationships, and then all of a sudden, like every day, you're dealing with this person's nonsense, distortions, and lies, and you can never trust. Like, who was it your fault? No, it's never your fault, right? It's never your fault. It's always somebody else's fault. And when you deal with people like that on a regular basis, and you communicate with people like that, it makes it incredibly difficult for you to live your life. Because you're constantly like debating or dismissing bullshit. Like, is this bullshit? It might be bullshit. And then somewhere along the line, you realize, well, fuck this, man. I got to stop hanging out with this person. This person's an asshole. You know? That person doesn't give a fuck about the truth. They don't give a fuck about me. And I've had a few of those in my life. And you just cut them loose. And when you cut them loose, like, you're a way better person. You're like, your life is free and easy. And you're like, oh, it's not that I'm like constantly engaged in conflict. It's that if you surround yourself with the wrong kind of people, you will be constantly engaged in conflict, whether you want it or whether you have that intention or not. Like, it's not just about having the right intentions. You got to make the right choices as to who you put in your world. Because if you put a bunch of shitheads that don't care about evolving, they don't care about getting it together, and all they're trying to do is pass off their nonsense on you, oh, you got a shitty road. You got a shitty road ahead of you.
You know, I used to love guns. I wasn't a gun nut like your buddy, but I loved guns. I loved having them. I loved them. And the same thing, one day I was like, every time I carry a gun, there's a problem.
Yeah, you put that out there almost, right?
It's like a magnet for other guns.
And you're not the only one that says that.
It's like a magnet. I'm telling you, when I carried a gun, I carried a gun for a very short time because I didn't like it. I didn't see the purpose for it. It's a nice thing to use to try to be a tough guy, but all it's going to do is get you in fucking trouble because you pull that motherfucker out, 20 motherfuckers are going to pull them on you, that real tough guys. And I knew that going in. I fucking knew it. I wanted to fire it at somebody. But I tell you what, man, it was amazing how I used to go home and I go, what the fuck just happened tonight? Why did I have to go reach for my gun tonight? Why were there 6 other people in the room at a coke party with guns? Because guns they're like fucking magnets. And one day I got rid of all those guns and it was like I lost 80 fucking pounds of drama.
Wow.
The same thing 10 years ago, this phone would be ringing with people that were asking me questions about, how do you get road work? Why don't you take me on the fucking road? You get all these fucking people calling you with these questions, and at the same time, they have no concern for you. They really don't. They're just trying to pull you down, especially in this fucking town. If you let people pull you down, I don't know what you're doing. It's not happening for me. What do you want me to do? You got to write and get on stage every fucking night. What'd you do last week? Oh, I went to my sister's wedding. Well, go fuck your mother then. Go to the fucking wedding.
You were one of the best guys at picking that out, too. You were one of the best guys.
It burns my fucking core that people will come up to you and put their lack of... The other night I saw somebody that I started comedy with at the store 13 years ago. I was going to screen some stupid movie that my buddy was in. My wife was sleeping. I said, let me go down there. And as I was walking around the corner, I heard Joey. And I went up and I go, I didn't even know who it was. and he was telling me what he was doing in front of there, how he was working. You hear about this?
What?
No. And he was telling me, what he was doing there and what he was working. And I drove back to fucking Studio City with like tears in my eyes because he had every opportunity I had. He was a good-looking dude when he moved to this fucking town. But to him, he used to go to the store and drink, and everything was ha-ha, hee. And now I'm supposed to feel guilty on the fucking 101 because this fucking schmuck's got a job working till fucking 2 in the morning, parking cars or something. We all had the same opportunities here.
Well, there's people that feel like those people in your life to teach you that lesson, to see people fail and have regrets and see people not give 100% or not give it all their focus or give it all their honesty, give it who the fuck you really are. We see those people and that regret is almost there to let us know, like, don't ever let that happen to you.
But as I was getting in my car, he made a comment. And he was one of those guys that always had to have that one comment at the store.
Mm-hmm.
And he made like a fucking comment, like just...
What'd he say?
Something about something. It must have been nice doing blow all those years. Like something just... You know what I'm saying? Like he's one of those guys that he's...
Got to put you down.
Right. He had a... And I just got in the car and I said, this is why that guy's parking cars.
Yeah.
And, I'm on the fucking road working and at least trying to make things happen. But this is why this guy's parking fucking cars.
There was a guy that I won't mention his name, but you'd warned me about him a long time ago, long before it ever went real bad for him. And then one time I was back in the East Coast, and the guy hadn't done comedy in fucking a couple of years, and he's like trying to get a hold of me to open up for me. Like, what are you just gonna get back on stage after a couple of years and open up at the big show? Like, really? That's what you're gonna do? Are you out of your fucking mind? Like, what kind of weird request is that? You haven't done comedy in 2 years. You want to go up in front of a sold-out club. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, why would you think that you could just do that? Like, but that's what there's a lot of guys that didn't make it in comedy that felt like they didn't make it because nobody helped them. And I've heard that so many times. I've heard that stupid argument, like, I wasn't in with the right group, or if you're not in with the right group, it's very hard to get road work. Like, what are you talking about? All you have to do is be funny. If you're funny, people find you. It's one of the easiest businesses of all time. You get proven on stage for sure. Easiest to understand. This is how easy it works. You go on stage, you get the people to laugh, people notice, then they start offering you work. It's that simple. When you prove that you have a certain amount of time and you prove that you can consistently perform really well, people want to give you some work. They give you a little here, they give you a little there. You make some connections, you start networking. The next thing you know, you start, moving in your area a little bit, getting a few gigs here and there, and it takes fucking years. And you got to keep doing it. If you don't keep doing it, then you really didn't want to do it. But if you do keep doing it, you get to a point where you're Joey Diaz. And if you're one of those guys that didn't really want to do it, and one day you see Joey Diaz, and you say, "Oh, it must have been good fucking do coke all those years." You're there. You're like a living lesson. Like, that guy's like a little stop on your journey.
Oh, it broke my
it's a
fucking
book.
heart. It broke my heart on the drive home. I was like, wow. Him and I had the same opportunities. We both walked into that store. He used to get spots.
He was good.
He was...
Decent.
Yeah,
Showed potential, whatever.
9 o'clock spots, couple belly room spots. And now you're out here at fucking 11 o'clock at night, and you're like, wow.